This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, not with Mark Weber, and you might notice I'm in the same attire as a fast break as all of us are, as I'm joined by...
It'd be weird if we just changed shirts right now.
It would be. I wouldn't fit into either of your shirts, so we wouldn't be able to do that.
We were just talking about putting our own clothes on. Yeah,
I thought we were talking about like Chinese fire drill.
No.
We could have done that.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, Dave and I could try that.
But those voices that you're hearing, Sean Anderson.
Dub them Mies.
And Dave Oster.
Now I'm really confused. Hey, everybody.
You can also dub them Mies.
No, I'm hey, everybody.
He always
Because that's my line
from
6 years ago.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I dub them Mies because there's an E in Sean and there's an E in Anderson. You can do it in Dave and then Oster.
That's true.
And
I cannot.
Even although Mark's on IR right now, I got to fill in and be the best I can. I got to run this offense like Nick Foles.
Yeah, dub the Mies. You got to be Big Dick Nick out there. Mm-hmm. Big Dick Sean.
I'll actually get us some gold too, unlike Mark.
Yeah.
Oh.
But this is the Onside Kick, our pro football podcast. I can say that now because we talk about the NFL and the AFL. And we got a jam-packed show. Mark's not here. Don't know the reason. I didn't care to ask Mark. But Mark, I hope you're doing well. He said that he will be there Thursday, though, for Too Old to Game. But got a jam-packed show for you guys. Going to be talking about some AB to the Cardinals, potentially. Going to be looking at some AFL or AAF football, AAF football. And then we'll wrap things up with the Giants. Could they be getting Russell Wilson at the end of this year? Before we get into everything, make sure to check out patreon.com/most valuable podcast. You can join us at the $10 tier and be on a podcast each and every month. You are at that tier. Before I get into it, what is so funny? Now I know what Sean feels like on the fast break.
I'm just enjoying this.
I made an extremely insensitive joke that I would feel horribly to say out loud.
Don't say it then.
It involves Jim Boeheim and where Mark is.
Yep.
Well,
that pretty much just says it all right there.
I want to say the words.
Yep.
And then
Mark,
Dave
you're okay.
Dave, yeah.
I was just following up on something from the fast break that I forgot to share with you guys during the fast break.
So, AB, Cardinals, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
So there was NFL analyst Bill Barnwell suggested recently that, and I hope we're recording this on Saturday.
He dropped a barn burner.
He dropped a barn burner. He basically said that the Cardinals could trade for Antonio Brown. I almost said Anthony Brown. Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Giving the Steelers not just Josh Rosen, but also a mid-round pick, like a fourth-round pick, freeing up to take Kyler Murray with the number 1 selection. I'm going to go to Sean first because when I asked who wanted to take it first, Sean said, I will. Mm-hmm. Sean, should the Steelers and the Cardinals make this deal to send AB to Arizona?
Absolutely not, from the stance of the Cardinals. I understand that people are super excited about Antonio Brown being available. Makes sense. He's one of the best wide receivers in my career, my life. Probably, in top 5 of my life. Again, Jerry Rice is obviously number 1, but I wasn't around for Jerry Rice. I think Randy and T.O. would probably be at the top of that class. I just think that with his personality and trading away such a young quarterback would be a foolish mistake. And I understand the connections with Cliff that Kyler does have, but Kyler isn't a for sure hit in this draft. I am extremely worried about his size. I know people will bring up Russell Wilson. They'll bring up Drew Brees. Those guys have had more than extremely successful careers. Those guys are Hall of Famers already, especially Russell Wilson. I know he's extremely young. We'll talk about him a little bit later, but I think it'd be tough for him not to be a Hall of Famer. I just look at Kyler, though, and I'm extremely worried about him being able to look over the NFL line and be able to make those reads. I'm not saying he's not smart. He's clearly athletic. He can play 2 sports, and players have made it done before, and I heard a stat that he's passing in Oklahoma. He was passing 85% of the time. But when the defenders get bigger, when the offensive linemen get bigger, when the game speeds up, that is something that is going to worry me. And you can't scheme like you did in college. You can't be quicker with your reads like you were in college. Brady, dissecting the offense. Obviously, I'm wearing a Brady shirt, so I'm going to bring him up. Dissecting the offense and being able to get the ball out of his hands in 2.9 seconds is something that is elite. Will Kyler be able to do that quick enough in the NFL? I have major concerns about that. And taking him number 1, I think would be a mistake. But then also trading Josh Rosen, who is so young, who I was so high on last year, I feel like would be misguided, especially bringing in someone in Antonio Brown who isn't the best to bring a locker room together. Now, having Larry Fitzgerald in that locker room might also help, but having a young head coach in Cliff Kingsbury would be something that would worry me.
What do you think, Dave?
Oh, I'm all in on this move. I'm 110% in. You make this move 10 times out of 10, Sean. If you're the Arizona Cardinals, you end up with one of the best wide receivers in football today on 3-year contract, which obviously it's a lot of money. It's 22 mil, 18, 19 mil the following year. It's a lot of money. I get the hesitancy there for a player who has had some on the field and off the field concerns.
Yeah.
But you also get the green light to take your guy, your dude, and Kyler Murray. And he is special. You already talked about, the concerns is basically the vision, the height. Can he overcome that in the NFL?
And not only that, too, can his body hold up taking NFL hits?
That's true. I mean, he'll have to be incredibly smart with his run game because he is a mobile quarterback and he does like to peel out on guys, which is hilarious to watch in college because he will outrun every single defensive end. It's not even funny.
Which I'll ask you, pop it in there for both of you.
Of course.
I asked Mark this last week. I'm going to ask you over-under on 2 combine hits for Kyler Murray. Number 1 is his height. Over-under 5'9.5".
Under.
When he's officially measured.
Under.
I'll say over.
Is it with shoes? Is it with 13-inch spikes?
However they measure at the combine.
I will say he will be under. I will say 5'9".
Because people are saying 5'9",
spot on.
Everyone's saying 5'10", so that's why I put the line at 5'9.5".
It's weird because in the last, it's been the month? They're like magically, no, he's 5'10", he's not 5'9". It's like, dude, where did that come from?
I always heard he's 5'7".
Exactly.
There were people that are like, I'll be surprised if he's 5. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's 5'8".
I'm gonna hope that it's a 5'10".
The other one,
bring it.
40. Over under a 4.2 40. Does he get over under a 4.3 40?
Yeah, I was gonna say 4.3 should be the bench.
Does he hit 4.2 anything?
He doesn't run it. That's my thing. If he's not throwing, I don't think he's going to be running.
You don't think he's going to run the 40?
No, I think he's going to show up, and I think he's probably going to do as little as possible.
He will get weighed. He will get measured.
Yeah,
he will answer some questions.
Yep.
Exactly. He is there to show his character and not his skills. Because he's made a clear decision to become an NFL player. He's going to do stuff at his pro day, but I don't think he's going to do stuff at
if he runs it
combine.
Over under a 5.3, does he get
4.3?
to the 4.3?
That's Brady level.
Does he
5.3.
Does he get Does he get to 4.2 anything?
No, I think he was a 4.32 guy. I think he is just on the other half because 4.2 speed's insane. I'm sorry, that's just.
I mean, Usain Bolt was like what he ran at Super Bowl week and got like a 4.24
in flip flops.
Yeah, in flip flops
and capris.
Yeah,
I get it.
I think
he's really fast.
The fastest is what? Chris Johnson 4.28.
Chris Johnson, the fastest automatically timed score, I believe.
Yeah, yes. I would say he's around the.
There are rumors of Dion being a different level and someone else as well.
I would say 4.3 and higher. 4.31 to 4.37.
Those are just two of the ones I know. I asked Mark, popped in while you were giving what you were saying, Dave.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's good questions around him as an athlete, though, because that's what he is. He is a special athlete. Not only is he a gifted thrower, but he's also able to be that mobile pocket or that anti-pocket passer. He is mobile. He's able to get out in space and create, which changes for me, when you come up with the concerns about height, he changes the line of play because he's able to readjust himself to a different position. He gets out in space, and that line is no longer lined up where it's just a brick wall in front of you. You have those gaps. You have that spacing. You have that vision to make things happen. And I think that's what makes him completely viable to me. Like, I don't look at the height as a huge concern because I think that he will be able to put himself in a position, whether it's deeper drops or he'll be able to get out to one side or the other to the point where that's not going to be a concern, where you're going to see a lot of balls doinked off a lot of balls doinked off the back of guys' helmets. One of the tallest quarterbacks in the league, in Jacksonville, I can't remember his name.
Like Bortles?
He has, I think, the highest amount of passes batted down at the line of scrimmage, and he's one of the biggest guys. So it's throwing motion for me, and Kyler Murray has a clean throwing motion.
Well, and for me, I'm going to say I agree with you. Just to bring that up real
quick, I mean, you can even look at the Colts-Chiefs playoff game, and I mean, Chris Jones was batting everything that Andrew Luck was throwing down.
Yeah.
Well, if we're talking about
they just put up an arm,
and if we're talking about some of the cleanest throwing motions ever,
he's not the cleanest.
Luck has got great motions. Yeah. So
Luck was the prodigy.
And I would say I agree with Sean, but for a different reason.
Okay, let's hear it.
If I'm the Cardinals, I don't want Antonio Brown. And the reason why I say that is you have Cliff Kingsbury coming in. I don't know if Kingsbury can handle the ego of AB. I don't know if he could do it because let's be honest, Tomlin kind of controlled it, but towards the end, no, he hasn't. That's what I'm saying, Dave. He's kind of controlled it by letting AB.
I think he's done a fine job
by letting AB do his own thing, and it's like the Tomlin culture has fit AB until right now. I just don't think that AB fits the culture that you'd want to build with the Cardinals. I get he's miraculous wide receiver talent, and he would make that team better. I just feel like you have a coach that's been dealing with college kids coming in. You have a young guy at your quarterback that you can mold. You have the consummate veteran in Larry Fitzgerald coming back for his final year. You have guys like Christian Kirk on this team that are still young. Why would adding AB create a volatile situation in Arizona? That's what I would wonder.
I think the big, and I don't want to write off that the Cardinals shouldn't do this. I think that if the Cardinals believe that their guy is Kyler Murray and that, they can expend Josh Rosen and the Steelers would be interested in that offer and you get Antonio Brown to help Kyler Murray, yes, it would be a good addition if that's the direction you want to go. I'm just disagreeing with the direction. And some people might bring up the fact that I brought up the youth of Josh Rosen. Yeah. Him and Kyler Murray are a very similar age. Kyler Murray was born August 7th, 1997. He's a little bit older than me. And Josh Rosen was born February 10th, 1997. So, the difference is not too drastic. No. They're both going to be 22 at the start of the year. So it's really going to come down to who do you think is going to be the better NFL pro? And Antonio Bryant, as talented as he is, how long can he hold
Brown.
up? What is that?
He said Bryant.
Oh, my bad. Antonio Brown, how long can he hold up as a wide receiver? Because he is 31, but he's also on the smaller side of wide receivers. So is he going to still be in his prime come the end of this contract? Because Larry Fitzgerald, one of the more miraculous players that we've seen in the past couple of years, he has still been efficient, but he hasn't been the Larry Fitzgerald that we've seen, and that just happens naturally with wide receivers. They take so much damage. They're catching 100 balls a game. They're getting 100 balls a season. They're getting hit every single game on every single catch, pretty much. I just think with his size, his maybe possible lack of work ethic, and his diva mentality, would that take away from his ability to be productive for the Cardinals? Where Josh Rosen, if he is the better quarterback, we've seen time and time again that is more helpful to your franchise, having a franchise quarterback that can be there for a very long time. And you have Rosen still under contract. Now, the big thing will be if you draft Murray, you can just re-up that and get him for longer. But if you think Rosen's going to be the better quarterback and, Kyler might not bolt to the MLB, I think you might stick with Rosen.
Well, and that's the thing, Dave, I'm going to throw to you. We were kind of talking before the podcast. One of my biggest things is I've had conversations with Brandon, because Brandon, as soon as Kingsbury got the Arizona job, was like, trade Josh Rosen, take Kyler Murray. Because
Brandon would say
he doesn't think that Josh Rosen's going to do well after 1 year in the NFL, where I'm sitting there going, did you realize this team and how bad that offensive line was? And how this offense, they had a head coach that was a defensive mind that didn't set them up in the right mind offensively, and shouldn't have even gotten that job in my mind.
He wasn't even a good coach.
Exactly. That was I was calling for him to get fired with 5 weeks left in the season, it seemed.
They fired their offensive coordinator midway through the season, brought in Byron Leftwich.
Exactly. What to you, this team is not something where it's Kyler Murray can't just step in and boom, that's the saving fix. They got to fix this offense.
Well, I think Kyler Murray would be a step in the right direction to fix this offense, because Josh Rosen was more of a typical or a prototypical quarterback from an NFL build. He's got good size. He's got good vision on the field. The one thing that I just think that would open them up is adding in someone who has that mobility, buys that offensive line some time. It gives them the ability to kind of cover up for that deficiency. Because if your quarterback's mobile, yes, there's a good chance he will get hit more. Actually, there's not a good chance. It's a great chance he'll get hit more. That's just from a statistical point of view. If you look at the Russell Wilson, the Cam Newtons, any of these guys who tend to run, you're going to get hit more. But if those offensive lines aren't as well polished or as cohesive as they need to be, having a mobile quarterback is a godsend for them. So I think that I would absolutely agree with Brandon that going in the direction of go with Kyler Murray, get someone who has that it factor to him. I know he's not the perfect mold of what you want as a quarterback. That is similar to what Josh Rosen could be. Remember last year we talked a lot about Josh Rosen in that top group of quarterbacks, and why I think Sean and we both agreed on him being the better option. But
over like a Darnold. right?
I don't know if it was over Darnold. It was guy who went to the Buffalo Bills.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. Yeah, we both liked him more than Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hate saying this. I believe I said Josh Rosen was the best quarterback in the draft. I think
people thought he was the most pro-ready coming out, too.
And that's the thing, is he is what people expect out of a quarterback, and the problem is this Cardinals team doesn't have the pieces around him to protect him.
Well, and the biggest thing that I want to bring up too, and we talk about the pieces that aren't around him. The pieces I think are around him to make a jump next year. Because I mean, we look at
you're talking about Cardinals as is.
Yeah, Cardinals as is. I mean, you have a reliable weapon in Larry Fitzgerald. He's not a stud anymore, but he's still a top 30 wide receiver. You have a fantastic running back, David Johnson, who's now going to be fully healthy after an injured year. You have Christian Kirk, who's a newly drafted wide receiver who showed potential in his first year, and now you finally have an offensive-minded coach that can help you out and draw up schemes and help you read the offense quicker. And Josh Rosen already is a very smart quarterback that can already, I think, read offenses fairly well. And having Kingsbury who can draw up plays where these guys can get open easier, I think that's going to impede the ability for not impede. But exceed the ability for Josh Rosen to become a better quarterback. And the biggest thing that we keep seeing for these young quarterbacks that might not have a great first year is that once they get an offensive quarterback or offensive-minded head coach, that they can take that next step. And we're going to look in the past 3 years. Jared Goff, Josh Rosen, Mitchell Trubisky all did not have good years, but they all had defensive-minded coaches that were either old or too young. Jeff Fisher, John Fox, and then Steve Wilkes. You look at Jared Goff, completion percentage 54.6% his rookie year. Josh Rosen 55.2%. Mitch 59.4%. Josh threw for the most yards, but he also played for the most amount of games, 2,278 compared to Goff's 1,089 and Mitch's 2,193. Josh threw the most touchdowns again had more games played, but he threw 11. Mitch threw 7. Goff threw 5. Goff had 7 interceptions. Rosen had 14. Mitch had 7. They all had pretty much 1-to-1 touchdown interception ratios, or even more interceptions to touchdowns.
Yeah.
And then also the ratings. I mean, Mitch had a 77.5 quarterback rating. Josh had a 66.7, and Goff had a 63.6. Like, we can't write them off after 1 year,
I'm not saying
especially a 22-year-old. No, I'm just saying
but
a guy
about
like
the
Brandon.
value.
I'm saying like a guy like Brandon.
Okay. I'm just saying, think about the value though. You're trading basically, someone who, like you said, you are going to hope makes that jump from being, underutilized as a quarterback, and then the game speed will kind of slow down for him in that year or two, hopefully with the better support staff. But you're trading him away to get one of the best wide receivers in football and one of the most explosive weapons in college football in Kyler Murray, and a 4th-round pick rumored. I think that is a great haul for him. You get someone else's problem child who comes in happy. He gets to work with one of the legendary wide receivers in NFL history.
Yeah. And a guy that they know, too. They've been working out together.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that, you kind of calm that storm that was Antonio Brown's frustration from Pittsburgh, because, think about it, his big thing in Pittsburgh was, you paid me, great, I'm happy, why won't you throw me the damn ball now? And he was instantly replaced by Juju Smith-Schuster this year. There was a very clear shift in direction of that team, and I think that on this Cardinals team, you would not have that problem because he has different weapons around.
Larry Fitzgerald is only coming back for the 1 year, I believe.
Exactly.
And to counter that, though, the big thing with Antonio Brown was he was getting double teamed so much that Juju was more open. So Ben was just making decisions to hit the open guy. And you look at it, I think Brown had more yards per receptions than Juju did. I think he had more yards in general. I think Juju had more receptions. But I also think Antonio led the team in touchdown receptions. So, I mean, it wasn't like Antonio was not being used.
No, but he could have done more is the scary thing. I think he was underutilized on that team.
I disagree with that, because he was still putting up similar numbers. His numbers took a drop off, but that was also because teams started to focus in on him more, which allowed Juju to be a better wide receiver. I think that's the way that offense was supposed to work. And I don't think it was a really pointed criticism from Antonio Brown going towards the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think just looking at what the Steelers... the Steelers should obviously trade Antonio Brown. I don't think they have a choice. But with the Cardinals a big thing with Antonio Brown is he's consistently won. This team is, they've made the playoffs for most of the years that Antonio Brown's been in Pittsburgh. I know they didn't make it last year. They're usually around a 10-win to 12-win to 13-win team. But this is a Cardinal team that if this defense doesn't step up, Cliff Kingsbury is so inexperienced, and they start losing, I don't think that's going to qualm his problems because I think, if he's not getting the ball enough, well, we're not winning enough. Like, I think and there's always going to be a problem with Antonio Brown. He's always going to find something. That's just how these guys work. The only time that I did not see Randy Moss complaining was when he caught 23 touchdowns and they went to the Super Bowl. Same with TL.
It's not like Antonio Brown had publicly spoken out about problems before about a year and a half ago. I would say that was the line in the sand.
When his contract started nearing up, it ramped up.
Pre-Antonio.
Like, hey, pay me, and then they paid him.
Yeah.
And then he realized
I think
what
that
happened.
might be a little more fair.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, it's not like he was always a problem child. No. I think this was an issue with the Steelers organization.
He's a 7th-round pick that worked his ass off.
Yeah, he's an amazing story. Yeah.
Here's the thing I want to throw, and this is kind of what I want to end with, is with this coming out, and of course, this isn't from the Steelers, because they could ask for more if they want to. Let's use this as the base. Josh Rosen is in a 4th for AB. I got 2 other teams that could easily be like, hey, we will get into the running because we have backup quarterbacks that we could give you as well.
Yeah.
I want to throw 2 teams at you in potential deals. You guys let me think of, to me, the Cardinals might be the best because Rosen's got more flexibility contract-wise. But the first one's the Colts. They've got Jacoby Brissett behind Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck proved, hey, you know what? No, the injury is not hindering me. We don't need Jacoby Brissett.
Got a guarantee.
They could move Jacoby.
Thrower.
His only thing is he's an unrestricted free agent after this year. They could offer Jacoby a pick. You also have the San Francisco 49ers who, yes, they have Nick Mullins, but they could offer him and maybe a 3rd or him a 4th and a future pick. To me, those 2 teams might be better fits than the Cardinals for AB.
Ricky, I love you, but those trade ideas are horrible. By far, the best trade package for the Steelers is Josh Rosen.
Yeah,
they've got the future.
They've got
Nick Mullins.
It's got more stability.
Nick Mullins barely proved that he could be a passable quarterback.
Stats are similar to Josh Rosen.
But I'm saying you're talking about Nick Mullins with a fantastic offensive mind in Kyle Shanahan, and you're looking at Jacoby Brissett, who is a backup, and he's been nothing more. And everyone looks at that Houston Texans game. Bill Belichick catered that offense for Jacoby Brissett to do well. I'm not saying Jacoby can't be a good backup, but I think that's all he is. If I'm the Steelers, I am not looking for a quarterback of the future.
Well, they also got Mason Rudolph that they drafted last year.
You have Ben. You have Juju. I'm losing Antonio Brown. I need more help. I'm losing Le'Veon Bell. I know James Conner was there and did a fantastic job, but you need more talent. And Josh Rosen, I think, is the only quarterback that you can go out and trade for because he is so young. He is, on a very cheap deal. You can work and build him up to be your next franchise quarterback. But guys like Nick Mullins, Jacoby Brissett, you're selling too short on Antonio Brown. I would be looking for teams that I could pick swap with. Like, if I'm the Niners, I'm not going at him for Nick Mullins. I'm going like, hey, we'll pick swap first. I'll give you Antonio Brown, and then another pick, like a 3rd or 4th. Like, I think that's the deal you need to make. You need to go out and get young talent. So like a team like Buffalo that might need a wide receiver that you can jump into the 9th pick, or like the Redskins where, hey, you need a wide receiver, we can jump up to 15. I think that's not the Redskins move, but yes, I think that's something that you need to do and need to look at is what teams can offer you the ability to move up and add young talent, especially with guys like the kid from LSU, who's the linebacker, Devin White. With his speed and ability, we saw what Ryan Shazier did in Pittsburgh. We know Pittsburgh's ability to build up linebackers. If they were able to get into position to take him and try to replace, Ryan Shazier with a guy like Devin White, I know he's a little bit of a project. Brett Coleman put out a video about him, breaking him down. It was fantastic, telling you about the ceiling that this kid could hit. Like, that would be a guy that I think would make sense for the Steelers. I just think the Steelers, if you're looking for a trade partner, the Cardinals can offer you Josh Rosen, but I don't even know if that's the best they can offer you because even then, you could offer you the 1st round pick or the number 1 overall pick. They shouldn't. They shouldn't.
And he does make a fair point, though, Dave, that Josh Rosen is a 4th. I first saw that and was like, is that what the Steelers are going to want? Aren't they going to want more? I thought they would want a 1st or a 2nd.
I think if Antonio was on a cheaper deal, it would be more. But it's 22, Antonio's deal.
18, 19. I mean, that's a lot of money. No, I think
what goes into your thoughts?
Rosen absolutely is the best of the talent you mentioned. I think Brissett is a stopgap quarterback. He can be a quarterback at the professional level. He's got good size to him. He has a decent arm. Obviously, he's been a backup for some very, very talented guys, but the problem is I don't know that given the reins to run with the team for a full year, like we saw a little bit of that experiment already with the Colts, and I didn't love it. But, if there's a team that can make guys work in an offense, it's Pittsburgh. I just think that Rosen's the guy. He's a successor to Ben Roethlisberger's throne. The will he, won't he retire game for the last 2 years, and again this year. And it's like, dude, I get it. But, like, this franchise needs to move on. And whether it is Mason Rudolph...
And they've already made that decision with Le'Veon. They said, we're not going to franchise tag Le'Veon.
Exactly. So I think that's the big question is, if you've got Mason Rudolph, it's better than having one potential future guy, 2. Get
and
2.
Just, throw as much shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Exactly.
Basically.
It's quarterbacks are not a science. Quarterbacks are finding the right fit for your guy, for your team, for your system. Like, there's so much that goes into that. That's why guys like Tom Brady, the shirt that you're wearing right now, were able to succeed when teams overlooked him. But look, he got put into the best position to succeed. Ben Roethlisberger.
There's also luck, too.
I mean, absolutely luck involved. But, like, Ben Roethlisberger was a guy who came in and, like, he had an instant success in the NFL. 11 straight wins to start his career, I believe. I mean, he was a monster role. I just think that Josh Rosen's a guy where if he was put into that system, that's like the Steelers, I can see why they would want him. Like Sean said, that year 2 jump, that's exactly what I'd be looking for. It's like, look, Ben's had some health concerns. He's definitely got some drive concerns. Let's get the guy who's
definitely got some character concerns.
Definitely.
As well.
Oh my God. There's a lot of concerns with that man. So I would go for a guy who is exactly what I want. He can be a clean cut professional quarterback, no issues. Smart kid, has a drive. He's shown the drive. He has a thirst for more knowledge about the game. Absolutely all in on that.
And that's why, for me, I feel like I wouldn't make this move if I was the Cardinals. I wouldn't, because I would keep Josh Rosen, see what he can do here. I'll go ahead and get Quinnen Williams or Nick Bosa with my first pick, whichever one I want to use to bolster up my defense.
Final hot take, because I don't think I've ever been hot enough, which is sarcasm.
Yeah, bring it.
Why hasn't Mike Tomlin been fired yet?
Thank you.
I've been
on that boat for like 2 years now.
I've been saying it for 4 years. This guy has
Mark
lost
has been annoyed every time I bring it up.
He's lost 2 stars now.
Thank you.
He is supposed to be a defensive genius, but where is Pittsburgh's defense
Can't
been
beat Bill
for the past
Belichick.
4 years? He can't beat anybody. He fucking missed the playoffs with James Conner, Big Ben. He lost to the Ravens, who were throwing out Lamar Jackson, for Christ's sakes.
I think that's the egregious mark, is losing to that Ravens team. Honestly, I want to give credit to the Ravens because they had a game plan and they stuck with it, and people were just confused.
They made the switch.
This is the laziest team I've ever seen in NFL history. They have stars that do not want to play. The guys with talent do not want to play. The only fucker that wants to play on that team is Juju. Honestly.
But he also wants to stream.
And James Conner.
That's right.
He stepped in.
But he makes some questionable hair choices.
Juju be streaming as well.
That first haircut to start the season was weird.
I forgot about that.
But yeah, I just think Mike Tomlin needs to get the can. He's
I'm the same way.
He's like Lovie Smith, but like with a beard. With a darker beard.
Okay, I'm like, Lovie's got a beard too.
Like, Tomlin's intimidating at times. And that man gets...
Yeah, Tomlin's
my chest gets tight when he talks sometimes.
But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think down below. Do you think Mike Tomlin needs to be fired? And also, what would you do if you were the Cardinals or the Steelers? Steelers, what are you asking for? Cardinals, do you make the move? Do you get rid of Josh Rosen to bring in Kyler Murray and AB, obviously?
Yes.
Let us know what you think in the comments.